Good afternoon, everyone. John Moyle here. It's great to be with all of you from Oak Brook Church. Just enjoying the outdoors here today before we get a little bit of rain this afternoon. But I'm here with you on Holy Tuesday. You know, Tuesday of the Passion Week was a really busy day for Jesus, a difficult day for Jesus. You know, he was fresh off of his driving out of the money changers from the temple, which Scott Johnson talked about yesterday. But on Tuesday, the religious leaders, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the teachers of the law, the Herodians, all came after Jesus, that it was time. He had gone too far with his actions the day before in the temple, and it was time to do away with Jesus. And, you know, they came after him in all different directions. They confronted him time and time again on Tuesday. They challenged his authority. Where did he derive his authority from? It certainly wasn't from them, and that's the way things worked in the days of the rabbis and the disciples, that the rabbis conferred authority onto people. They challenged his deity. They challenged his interpretations of Scripture. In response, Jesus didn't hold back. He condemned the Pharisees and the teachers of the law for their bad religion. Had a huge diatribe against them. Some call it the seven woes, where he said, "Woe, you hypocrites, you Pharisees," and began to expose the shallowness of their faith, how much of it was just for show, and there wasn't any depth to it. You know, he told a variety of parables on that day. Predominantly, the parables were about what it means to be faithful and to be watchful, to be expectant, to be prepared for his return. What does a person of faith need to do in order to be ready for his return someday in the future? He taught also about future judgment, judgment that would come upon Jerusalem, the city itself, the temple, and the people. And so, you know, there's chapter after chapter on Tuesday. I want to talk today, though, about what I would call the twin peaks of Holy Tuesday. There are two teachings of Jesus on that day that I just think stand out, that really reveal the heart of Jesus in the midst of all of these challenges and the confrontation that he's had with the religious leaders of Israel. You know, the first is in Matthew 22, and it reads, "Hearing that Jesus silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question: 'Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?' Jesus replied, 'Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments.'" I don't know if it's commonly known that teaching came in Jesus last week on Holy Tuesday. Kind of the foundation of all Jesus' teachings, to love God and to love your neighbor. Those two laws are the essence of all of the scriptures, that all of what came before it, the entire Torah, the writings, the prophets, could all be encapsulated and captured by those two laws, to love God and to love your neighbor. And those are the two laws that ought to define us as followers of Jesus. You know, the second peak of the twin peaks of Holy Tuesday for me comes a little bit later in Matthew chapter 25. It says, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, He will sit on his throne in heavenly glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world." And here's the part I really want you to focus on. "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me." You know, these verses just really jumped out at me this week. That description of what it means to live a life of faith. That those who want to be counted as the flock, to be the sheep of the Good Shepherd. There's amazing details that describe what does it look like to live a life of faith. To give the thirsty something to drink, to give the hungry something to eat, to visit prisoners in prison, to clothe those who are naked, and yes, to take care of those who are sick. This is what it means to show great love, to truly love your neighbor. This is what it means to show self-sacrificial love, as Jesus will show us just 3 days from now on Good Friday. You know, I haven't shown you really where I'm sitting, but I'm going to show you a little bit more clearly where I'm sitting. I'm actually sitting out in front of the Reston Hospital Center. I can't really show you from here, but people are keeping safe distancing as they're on a long line to get into the emergency room right now. Maybe they're sick with coronavirus, I don't know. But you know, no one at this time right now more powerfully is demonstrating and modeling and exemplifying the love of Jesus Christ than those who are on our front lines right now. Our doctors, nurses, emergency technicians, respiratory therapists, anesthesiologists, the hospital orderlies who come and clean some more to try to make a hospital to be as healthy an environment as possible for the sick who are coming in and for those who work full shifts, double shifts, in taking care of those who are sick. What greater examples of the love of Jesus than what these people are showing right now? I admire these people. I'm in awe of these people. Until a month ago, they probably had no idea that their lives were going to be put in this kind of a position in which they were at great risk. But yet these people continue to come in and work and take care of those who are sick. Exactly what Jesus is talking about in Matthew chapter 25. Powerfully moved by these people. You know, I think the lesson that I just hope we would all take away on this Holy Tuesday is that the example of these doctors, the examples of these nurses and these technicians and these therapists and anesthesiologists and the orderlies, I pray that would define all of us, that truly the people who live in our community would know us by our love. And that those two great commandments that Jesus shared on this day, that Holy Tuesday, of loving God and loving our neighbor, would be how we are known. That truly they would know that we are Christians by our love. May we serve the sick. May we serve the stranger. May we serve the hungry. May we serve the hurting, the poor, all who are marginalized. May that be the example we give to the world around us. We love you all. I pray that you're all being safe. I pray that you all are healthy in this time. Let's try to keep Jesus front and center this week. I pray you all have an amazing week. I pray you would look for incredibly creative opportunities to follow Jesus so closely that you would really be covered by his dust. We love you. Bye.